I am an artist, and this is my voice, the voice of the pencil, its lilt, its pitch, its suave and silver argument, or the husky stuttering of its leaden dagger, a voice that, soundless, can be like tumult, or as faint as a whisper in the next room. The paper before us will be transformed into a cosmos of such vibrancy as to make the room you sit in like a land of the dead. I will create for you a new world, and people it with its native forms and denizens that never were before, yet have their roots in your and my experience.
Titus Groan, the first of 2 plays based on the Gormenghast novels of Mervyn Peake, dramatised for radio by Brian Sibley. With Sting as Steerpike, Bernard Hepton as Dr. Prunesqualor, Judy Parfitt as Irma Prunesqualor, David Warner as Sepulchrave, Eleanor Braun as Gertrude, Sheila Hancock as Clarice and Cora, Jill Lidston as Fuchsia, Cyril Shaps as Flay, Robert Edison as Sourdust, Morris Denham as Barquentine, Stratford Johns as Swelter, Hilda Schroeder as Nanny Slag, and Freddie Jones as the artist. Titus Groan.
This is Gormenghast. Mile upon mile of mouldering masonry, acre after acre of ancient buildings, clustered and huddled upon one another's backs, rising in prodigious arcs of ruthless stone, or hunched and solitary like stranded monsters. And above it all, Gormenghast Castle, the looming stronghold of time-eaten buttresses, of broken and lofty turrets. And within, a maze of cloisters and corridors, courtyards, vestibules, and stairways. All of them today alive with rumours. Everywhere, passage, archway, cloister, kitchen, dormitory, and hall, alive with speculation. On the ceiling of the stone hall, cherubs pursue each other across a waste of flaking sky. 1,000 of them, interweaving their fat limbs among the clouds.
Ever on the move, yet never moving.
Seated at the long table below the painted welkin, Sepulchrave, 76th Earl of Gormenghast, melancholy lord of half-light. Enter Sourdust, arrayed in crimson sacking, and with great books beneath his arm.
I, Sourdust, Lord of the Library, proffer to your lordship the salutations of a dark morning.
His face is made of brown paper that has been crunched by some savage hand before being smoothed out and spread over the tissues. His beard is tied in knots.
Well?
It is the 9th day of the month.
The 9th. A heavy day, the 9th. Always a heavy day. Well?
These, my lord, are the immemorial duties set down in the books of the lore of Groan for this day. First is the biannual ritual of the armory cupboard, which you are required to open, and using the ceremonial dagger, you will scratch a half moon on the back of the door. Yes?
Yes.
It will be the 737th such moon.
There is no world but here. Nothing that is not Gormenghast. And I am Gormenghast. The sacred rituals must daily be observed. Tradition must be maintained. Diagrams and cross-references must be followed. Routes to be taken, garments to be worn, gestures to be made that will bring us
at 2:37 to the pool of carp.
Have you heard, Sourdust? Have you heard about my son?
Deep in the fist of stone, a doll's hand wriggles, warm and rebellious. And with his tiny entrance enters change.
That's enough, that's enough. That's enough for you today, my dear.
Gertrude, 76th Countess of Groan, in her bedchamber full of birds. The dark red, lustrous hair of her enormous head clustered in thick coils upon the pillows like burning snakes. Her eyes, the pale green that is common among cats.
What a bunch of feathered wickedness!
A magpie pecks intermittently at a heap of grain upon the palm of her hand. On her shoulder, a stone chat and a huge raven. On the bedrail, 2 starlings, a missel thrush, and a small owl.
Come here and rub your beak along my arm. Who's that? What for? Oh, you mean the new one, do you? Hurry up then, hurry up.
Enter Nanny Slag, bearing in her arms the heir to the miles of rambling stone and mortar.
Where's that doctor? Where's Prune Squalor?
Oh, downstairs, taking punch in the cold room.
Squalor! Squalor! Squalor!
Prune Squalor, at the double. Dr. Alfred Prune Squalor, physician to Gormenghast. A narrow-chested man with a shock of grey hair and glasses which magnify his eyes so that they fill the lenses up to their gold rims.
My lady!
Exquisitely formed fingers flick small globules of drink from his waistcoat.
I called you to tell you, Prune Squalor, that tomorrow I get up.
Tomorrow?
Why not?
Most abnormal, most unusual, most unique, so very soon.
Get out.
My ladyship.
Exit Prune Squalor.
Isn't he sweet? Oh, isn't he the sweetest drop of sugar that ever was?
Who?
His little lordship. His pretty little lordship.
Slag, go away. Find a wet nurse from the outer dwellings. I would like to see the boy when he is 6.
Yes, my lady.
Call him Titus.
Seven.
Lady Fuchsia, daughter to the House of Groan.
There's 7 of them.
Fuchsia in her attic, clouded with moths, pollinated with dust, a warm, breathless, timeless region, a zone of moted half-light.
7.
7 clouds,
Like naked cherubs.
like sucking pigs,
Plump, pink bodies.
on a sky of slate.
Why 7? 7 is for something.
Suddenly noticing, far below, in one of the diminished quadrangles, kitchen servants, like ants.
What are they doing?
Something has happened.
Something no one's told me of.
Everything has changed.
Everything's wrong. Everything.
The great kitchen of Gormenghast. A steaming, airless concentration of ghastly heat. Fat, bubbling, stinking, burns in the great ovens. Acid flames leaping from the open doors into the clammy mist. Swelter.
Close your ranks, my belly boys.
Abiathar Swelter, chief chef to Gormenghast.
Close your ranks, my belching angel.
Balancing his huge body with difficulty upon a cask of wine.
Come closer in, my ineffectual villain. Silence, my drippy little joint. Silence and listen to me. To me. Chief Chef of Gormenghast, man and boy, 40 years!
There is only one of Swelter's boys who does not cheer.
Listen, my flowers of flatulence, my gaseous buds, and I will lift my sweetest heart into the rafters and sing you a song. But what is this? Someone's missing from this creamy sea of faces. Where's Steerpike?
There he is, sir!
A high-shouldered boy with an expressionless mouth, but with eyes dark and hot with hatred.
You wanted me?
Oh, there you are, my rare-addled sunshine. I shall sing to you, Steerpike. To you, my core of Colonel Catbile.
Steerpike's eyes smoulder through their lashes.
I, my impatient little lovebird.
His eyes protrude like bloodshot bubbles.
I
His face glistens like a jelly.
I am Swelter! Everybody, Swelter!
Like a galleon, he lurches in his anchorage.
Scook to his lordship, with all sorts of ships that shall sail on slippery seas.
The great ship's canvas sags and crumples, and then suddenly flounders and sinks in a cataclysmic mass of wine-drenched blubber. Observing this scene from the doorway of the great kitchen is Flay, first servant to Sepulcrave, Earl of Gormenghast. Flay, dry, brittle, ancient, like a splinter or fragment of stone, filled with revulsion, baring his sand-coloured teeth with an expression of unbelievable menace, he turns away from the reek and horror. Steerpike follows. Follows the cracking of Flay's knee joints through the labyrinthine corridors of stone beneath Gormenghast, hoping it will lead to the open, to the outside, to somewhere away from here.
What's that? Hey? Man of Swelter's striped rats! What are you doing here?
I don't know where I am.
I don't want Swelter's boys here, curse 'em.
I don't want to be here. Give me daylight. I'll go away. Far away.
Away? Where?
Anywhere.
Oh. New?
Me?
You new?
17 years old, sir. But new to the kitchen. Please, sir, I want to leave that dreadful Swelter. He fell. He fell like a log.
Quite right. Honouring the birth. What have you done?
Done, sir? When?
What happiness?
I haven't any happiness.
What? No great happiness? Rebellion. Is it rebellion?
No. Except against Mr. Swelter.
Take this candle. Lead the way. I'll teach her to be unhappy when a groan is born.
A groan is born?
And you mope in the lanes? Show you what it means. A male groan? Don't like him, Swelter, eh?
No, sir.
Here. Come here, you kitchen thing.
Sir?
Cat room. Come.
A room filled with late sunbeams. A carpet filling the floor with blue pasture. Seated in 100 decorative attitudes, or standing immobile like carvings, or walking superbly across their sapphire setting, interweaving with each other like a living arabesque, a swarm of snow-white cats.
Come. Climb, Swelter boy, climb. Name?
My name?
Your name, yes, your name. I know what my name is.
Steerpike, sir. Whose cats are those, sir?
Cats?
The white cats. Who do they belong to?
Milady's. All hers.
Where does she live?
Hold your tongue, you greasy fork. Talk too much. Come.
At the top of the stairs, an octagonal room hung with full-length portraits in huge, dusty gold frames. Pushing one a little to one side, Flay reveals a small round hole in the panelling, a spy hole. Flay applies his eye to the hole. He observes. He observes what he expected to observe. 3 doors in a corridor. The central door stained black with an enormous white cat painted upon it.
Here.
Yes?
Look.
The boy looks.
Cat door's hers.
His eye glued to the spy hole, Steerpike observes.
Prune Squalor? My lord? Well? Well, my lord? Satisfactory, Prune Squalor. I am, my lord, exceptionally gratified. Exceptionally. Professionally, you mean, I imagine. Professionally, my lord, I am unspeakably satisfied. Technically? Technically. I am so satisfied as to be unbearable even to myself. Did you notice anything strange, unusual about him? Structurally, a sound child. Sound as a bell. Tinkle, tinkle, structurally. Damn the structure! I am at a loss, my lord. His face. Did you or did you not think it was strange? Speaking professionally, I should say the face was irregular. You mean ugly? Let's say unnatural. What's the difference? Have you ever delivered a more hideous child, be honest? Never. 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 And never such a boy with such extraordinary eyes. Eyes? What's wrong with my son's eyes? Why, my lord, they are violet.
Steerpike at the spy hole still, observing.
Fuchsia! Come here, girl, come here.
Yes, father?
Fuchsia, her hair flapping like a pirate's flag.
Where have you been? Why have you been hiding? Why?
They said I've got a brother. Idiots! Idiots! I haven't, have I? Have I?
A little brother. Yes. A minute, infinitesimal, microscopic addition to the famous line. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
I don't believe it. Oh, I hate people. I hate them. I hate them.
She is gone, but Steerpike has observed it. Suddenly.
Back! Back, Swelter's boy, back!
Back? Oh, not back to that loathsome chef. Not back to the kitchen.
Too busy to have you here.
He's ugly.
Who?
Hideous, they said.
Who's hideous?
The baby. The new baby.
What's this?
Lord Groan said so. The doctor said so. Hideous, they said.
I'll tear your little ears off, you snippy thing. Come here.
If I go back to Swelter, I'll tell him. All of them. I've heard his lordship say, and then...
Come here, or I'll break your bones! In there, you kitchen rat! I'll fix you!
The sun sets behind Gormenghast Mountain in a swamp of saffron light.
Call him Titus, she said.
Nanny Slag.
Poor little lamb.
A midget figure made 14 inches taller by her best black velvet hat with the glass grapes on it.
Find him a wet nurse, she said, from the outer dwellings.
Hurrying between the acacia trees towards a gate in the castle wall.
Poor little dumpling.
Through the archway, past a cactus tree like a huge grey candlestick studded with thorns, coming at last to...
Oh, the dwellings.
A sprawling mass of hovels, swarming like an epidemic, clamping themselves to the great walls like limpets to a rock. The dwellings, granted by ancient law, a chill intimacy with the stronghold that looms above them. Nanny Slag stares at the dwellers. The dwellers stare at Nanny Slag. Moonlight flares on the glass grapes.
I have come to tell you a wonderful thing. You will be very proud, I am quite sure.
Adjusting her hat.
We are all proud, all of us. A new little groan has been born. A little boy of the blood. I am in charge, of course, and I want a wet nurse for him at once. I must have one at once to come back with me. There now.
The men form a large circle.
Gormenghast, Gormenghast, Gormenghast,
and chant 77 times. A young woman approaches Nanny Slag.
I will come.
She is perhaps 20, but her beauty has already begun to disintegrate, as it does with all the dwellers once they have reached maturity.
I lost my baby a few days ago. He lived but an hour or two. I will come.
Very well. Come along then. Your name, my dear.
Kida.
Time passes. With an insidious seepage, news percolates through Gormenghast, reaching, at last, the southern wing and the rooms of their ladyships, Cora and Clarice.
After all, who are we?
Sisters of Sepulcrave, Earl of Groan.
Who are we?
Sisters-in-law of Gertrude, Countess of Groan.
Lady Clarice? Lady Cora.
Twins. Their faces identical to the point of indecency. Expressionless, preliminary layouts for faces.
We are his aunts. Whose aunts? The child's, stupid. The child's. But what chance have we got? Gertrude has all the power. Yes, she has it all. And now there's a child. And we're only the aunts. Only the aunts.
In his cell-like room, Steerpike paces away the days. One thought only in his mind.
Escape! Trapped!
Locked in, no way out.
The window.
A precipitous drop. There's no way down.
Not down. Up.
Up 20 feet of unscalable stone.
It's only 12 feet up. And then there's a creeper. Hanging down.
A half-dead, hairy arm that will not bear your weight.
It's the only way. I must escape.
Standing on the lintel of the window, Steerpike begins the ascent.
Up.
Fingers find a cranny. He pulls himself up. A crevice here, a toehold there, another inch higher.
Up!
Above, the swaying wall. Below, the sickening drop. Grab, clutch, hold.
Up!
Reach, stretch, grip.
Up!
Slip, scramble, cling.
Up!
Sweat runs, blood drips, bones ache.
Got it!
The thick, brittle, hairy creeper arm, swaying out from the wall into space. Feet on stone, hand over hand.
Up!
Tearing nails, grazing flesh. The rusted gutter grasped. The empty world of rooftops reached.
Escaped!
Below in the castle, preparations are being made. Preparations for ceremonial. The christening room, cool and peaceful and unperturbed, waits. With space and dignity, it awaits the entrance of the characters. The first arrival. Flay, a heavy chain of brass around his vulture neck, giving unexpected elegance to his long, black, moth-eaten suit.
Good.
In one hand he balances, on a tray, a bowl of water.
Watch your feet, my little rat eyes.
Swelter.
Well, may I be boiled to a frazzle if it isn't Mr. Flea.
Little billows of flesh running swiftly here and there across his face.
Advance, and make it sprightly.
Advance 3 kitchen boys carrying trays stacked with delicacies.
Have you met this extremely thin gentleman, my little fly-blown chops? Allow me to introduce you. This, my tiny cheese pairings, is Mr. Flea.
How dare you?
How dare I what, Mr. Flea?
My name is Flay, and how dare you introduce me, the first servant to the House of Groan, to your 10-a-penny kitchen boy?
Oh, my adorable lights and liver, I have offended Mr. Flea.
You disgusting bag of lard.
Pulling his brass chain over his head.
You've been a pig swill.
Slashing the heavy links across the face of the chef.
What is this?
Sourdust, Lord of the Library, Keeper of the Tomes.
There should be order here. Rituals are to be observed.
And ritual must never be delayed. Their feud will have to wait, for the observers of the ritual are gathering already, and the christening must proceed.
All are gathered, save only him for whom this gathering is gathered.
Twisting his black and white beard into inextricable knots.
Stones have their voices, voices that grind at night from lungs of granite, voices that he shall hear when his ear is tuned to Gormenghast, whose voice is endlessness of endlessness.
How much more is there?
The ancient word is complete, your ladyship.
What now?
His lordship must call for his son.
Sepulchrave.
My son.
Call, Sepulchrave. He said call.
My son. My son!
His voice winds itself along the empty, echoing corridors, while above, high on the rooftops of Gormenghast, Steerpike opens his eyes and sees
Stone.
a conglomeration of stone, a mist of masonry,
Roofs.
rising and falling like a frozen sea,
Wall.
sheer, windowless, and arid.
towers.
Gesturing to the sky above. Then
A horse
swimming in a water-filled hollow.
on top of a tower.
Far away, across the seemingly inexhaustible vista of roofscapes. Below, Sepulchrave calls again for his son.
My son, inheritor of the powers I hold, approach me now. Child, welcome.
Oh, my poor little lemon drop. We've kept them waiting.
Never mind, dear lady. Better late than never.
Silence! We must proceed.
Well then, proceed!
I open the book of baptism, for it is written that between these pages where the flax is grey with wisdom, the firstborn male child of the house of Groan shall be laid lengthways.
Nanny Slag places Titus thus in the open book.
Then the pages that are heavy with words shall be bent in and over him, so that he is engulfed in the seer text, encircled with the profound, and is as one with the inviolable law.
Lord Sepulchrave joins the parchment at its centre with a safety pin.
Child inheritor of the rivers, of the tower of flints, and the dark recesses beneath cold stairways. Listen with the humility of princes, and understand with the understanding of the ants.
Dipping his hand in the christening bowl and trickling water through his fingers onto the baby's head.
Your name is Titus. Titus, the 77th Earl of Groan and Lord of Gormenghast.
Titus!
I do abjure you, hold each cold stone sacred that clings to these your grey ancestral walls.
His fingers growing numb.
I do abjure you, hold sacred the tenets that ramify the creeds of Gormenghast.
Losing his grip on the leather.
I dedicate you to your father's castle.
The book slipping from his hand.
No need for alarm. They resemble rubber, your ladyship. Just a core of India rubber with an elastic centre. Oh, yes. Every ounce abounds.
What are you talking about, man?
I was referring to your child who has just fallen on the floor.
Fallen?
To earth, your ladyship. Fallen positively to earth, which explains why, as you can no doubt hear, his minute lordship is screaming.
So that's what it is.
Don't cry, my treasure.
My son.
My book. He has violated the book of baptism.
Titus' first recorded act of blasphemy. Fuchsia's attic. A strange cavern of furniture, boxes, toys, pictures, armor, flags, and relics of every kind. Fuchsia threads her way among her treasures. She stops suddenly. Prostrate on the floor is the motionless figure of a boy.
What are you doing here? In my attic? This is my room. My room.
Lady Fuchsia.
Go away. Go away from my room. I hate you. I hate you for coming here. No one has ever been here.
Today, I saw a great pavement among the clouds, made of grey stones, bigger than a meadow.
What do you want?
I saw a horse swimming in the top of a tower, and colonies of basking lizards.
Who are you?
My name is Steerpike. I've climbed here from below.
Climbed here?
I come for sanctuary. I'm a rebel. I'm at your service as a dreamer and a man of action. I've climbed for hours, and I'm hungry and thirsty.
Go. Go away from me.
Where can I go to? Hide me tonight, Lady Fuchsia, and introduce me, if you will, to someone who can employ me. All I want is one interview. My brains will do the rest.
Well, 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 well.
Prune Scholar, flicking a hair from the sleeve of his coat and flashing his teeth.
So you have brought a friend with you, my dear little ladyship.
At your service, sir.
He's come because he wants to work.
Indeed. I have always been fascinated by those who want to work. Most absorbing and uncanny. But what are you? Beneath your fetid jacket, what are you? Are you a problem case, my dear boy? Or are you a clear-cut young gentleman with no ideas at all?
I'm neither, sir. I've plenty of ideas, though, at the moment. Plenty of problems, too.
Is that so? Is that so? How very unique. Master?
His name is Steerpike, Dr. Prune.
Is it now?
Yes, sir. Steerpike.
Steerpike of the many problems. And what, my young stripling, are your problems?
Well, they're varied, sir. The most immediate is to impress you with my potentiality.
Is it?
Yes. To be able to make such an unorthodox remark is in itself a sign of some originality.
Your young friend interests me, Fuchsia.
I'm 17, sir.
Indeed. 17.
Yet do I sound like 17, sir? Do I act like 17?
Indeed not, dear boy. Indeed not.
You see, sir, I'm clever enough to know that I'm clever.
Well, 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 well. By all that's intriguing, this is really the quintessential. What a very rare frenzy indeed.
He climbed all the way up the outside of the castle to my attic, Dr. Prune. He's very clever.
Yes, he's a clever little monster. A diabolically clever little monster.
Is this? I said, who is this?
A lady whose similarity to Dr. Prune Scholar is unmistakable peers through tinted spectacles at Steerpike.
Well, Alfred, well?
This, my dear, is none other than Master Steerpike, who is anxious for me to make use of his brain in its functional capacity as a vortex of dazzling thought. This Master Steerpike is my sister, Miss Irma Prune Scholar.
I'm honoured, madam, and I hope that I may be able to serve you in some way. If your brother should decide to employ me.
Of course he will. Won't you, Alfred? I said, won't you, Alfred?
Very likely, my dear Irma, very likely.
But what on earth are you wearing, boy?
Bending forward, her sharp nose and opaque glasses directed towards the youth.
I said, what on earth are you wearing?
It is with great regret that at my introduction to you I should be in clothes that so belie my fastidious nature.
I will have a suit cut for you tomorrow, Master Steerpike. We shall dress you in a suit of pale grey.
You do me too much honour, Miss Prune Scholar.
Alfred, did you hear me? I said we will dress him in grey.
Who, blood of my blood? Who is to be apparisoned in the hue of doves?
Who? How can you say who? This youth, Alfred, this youth whom you are employing.
I am confident that I shall give satisfaction, dear lady.
I will show you to your room. I will have you called in the morning, after which I will instruct you in your duties. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
With great pleasure, madam.
In his new room, Steerpike stands at the open window and observes the mountainous outline of Gormenghast Castle rising darkly into the night. The cool air fans his protruding forehead. His face remains like a mask, but deep down in his stomach, he grins. Months pass, and as Steerpike wedges himself ingratiatingly into the fabric of Gormenghast, another is preparing to leave it.
Oh, no, no,
No, Kida, you mustn't. Oh, you mustn't go. Oh, Kida, you know how old I am. Oh, you can't go. You can't.
I must. I must return to my home. Titus is strong and well, and he will be able to do without me.
Why? Why?
When I came to the castle with you on that first evening, I was troubled. I had need of refuge.
Refuge? What are you saying? What do you mean?
My husband had died. They buried him in the Valley of the Graves. 2 men carried his body for me, strong, young men. One was called Rantle, the other Bragon. The valley was silent, but those 2 men held me in their eyes, and I saw and knew that they loved me. My husband's child was born soon after, but it did not live. Rantle and Bragon were filled with hatred for one another, and to save the shedding of blood, I came to the castle. Now I'm going to return to them. My beauty will soon leave me, and peace will come. But before that, I must have love.
From the grey hinterland of buildings, the tower of flints rises like a mutilated finger. Within the shadow of this tower stands the long, low building that is the library. The library, shelf upon shelf, brooding with a slow anguish. Books, tier upon tier, seeming each a separate tragic note in a monumental fugue of volumes. A network of 1,000,000 commas, semicolons, full stops, and hyphens.
When, through a blood-dark dawn, a man with antlers cried, and throughout the day the echoes suffered, his agony and died in the evening air. I was not there,
said Belgrave, his dejection infecting the air and diffusing its illness upon every side.
I was not there. Flay.
Lordship.
I wish to have my son brought to me by his nurse. I shall expect them at 9.
Lordship. Why now? Had the summer to see his son. Thought he'd forgotten him.
Flay, straddling onwards, is suddenly distracted by a light, a dull, greenish light from a small window.
Only a light.
Yet, inexplicably, it seems to draw him to itself.
Wasting time. Only a light.
Then, climbing up onto a cask, and lifting himself up to see in at the window, and seeing what he has by some prophetic qualm known all along it was his destiny to see.
Swelter!
Swelter bathed in the nauseous light of a lamp, hanging enclosed in a bowl of lime-green glass.
Swelter!
Swelter bent over a grindstone,
sharpening
a large 2-handed cleaver. To his right,
boxes.
2 wooden boxes placed 4 feet apart, and on the floor, chalk lines running roughly parallel from the boxes, and
writing,
saying,
"To the 9th stairs."
The stairs leading to the room of
Lordship.
And across the doorway represented by the 2 boxes,
a sack
curled up as if to signify the figure of one who nightly sleeps outside his lordship's door, as if to signify
Flay.
Swelter ceases to whet the shivering edge of his cleaver and looks up, his eyes metallic and murderous. Then, removing his shoes, he begins a grotesque and extraordinary dance.
What's he doing?
He is practicing tiptoeing in silence. With slow, elaborate steps, the cook advances towards the sack.
Flay! Flay asleep!
Swelter stops and lifts the cleaver into the air above the cumulus shoulder. The steel flares in the green light.
Your ladyships, we are doubly honoured.
Steerpike ushers into the prune squaller's parlour 2 identical 9-pins, Lady Clarice and Lady Cora.
Very charmed, your ladyships.
Irma attempting to curtsy, but failing on account of the tightness of her dress.
Very, very charmed.
But to what do we owe this double honour?
Nothing at all.
Steerpike advances, his mind alive with ideas and projects.
And I, your ladyships, I'm delighted to have the distinction of being beneath the same roof.
He says he's glad he's under the same roof as us. I like roofs, because they're on the top of the houses they cover. And Clarice and I like being over the tops of things because we love power.
Will you have a little coffee? Or a little wine, perhaps?
What's his name?
His name is Steerpike.
His name is Steerpike. Why not? It'll do.
And all I desire, your ladyships, is that I might have your favour, your gracious patronage.
We're going now.
So soon?
You've just arrived. I said you've just arrived.
We've been here too long, much too long. We've got a lot of sewing to do. We sew beautifully, both of us.
I'm sure you do.
We do a lot of needlework, but nobody sees it. Nobody is interested in us. When we were younger, we were of great consequence. Yes, that's exactly what it was that we were. Sepulcrave thinks he's so wise, but he's no cleverer than we are. Nor is Gertrude.
Everyone knows that, your ladyships.
Winking at Prune Squalor.
But now you must let me escort you to your rooms.
Everyone knows, you said. That's what you said. But what can we do?
Leave everything to me, and I will secure your rights for you.
Oh.
You are Lady Cora and Lady Clarice. Lady Clarice and Lady Cora. You must not forget that.
No.
No one must be allowed to forget that.
Yes, and then we will have power again, won't we?
Yes, that's what we want. Power.
The air is bitterly cold now. The tower of flints rises like a black ruler against a sky crowded with stars. Steerpike, shaping schemes and designs in his mind, is returning to the Prune Squalors.
This way. Mustn't be late.
Hello? What's this?
There, my own. It won't be long, my little lordship, dear.
Interesting. Lordships, flays, and slags. I must investigate.
I brought them, Lordship.
So I see. I have disturbed you, nurse, have I not? It is cold outside. I have just been out to get these for him.
On the floor, in the lamplight, are scattered a score of fir cones.
Oh, are they for his little lordship, sir?
Put him among them. I want to talk to him.
The door inches open, and Steerpike steals noiselessly in.
I have had you come to tell you that I have decided upon a family gathering here in a week's time in honour of my son.
Steerpike listens.
I want you to inform those concerned. You will tell the Countess. You will tell Fuchsia.
Yeah.
You will also inform their ladyships Cora and Clarice.
Steerpike notes this.
And the Prune Squalors had better come as well. I will inform Sourdust myself. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I will tell them, sir.
Steerpike, deep in thought, silently creeps from the shadows and out into the night. In one of the sparse mud dwellings outside the walls of Gormenghast, a pair of lovers embrace.
Kida, You have come back. And you've come to me, not to Bragon.
Yes, Randall. I have come back to you.
You're crying.
Our youth will pass from us soon. Oh, Randall, hold me again.
Kida and Randall, defenseless before each other's love. The night passes. Morning comes, a sunlit morning of late autumn. Outside the mud dwelling, a man sits whittling at a small branch and waiting for the door to be unlatched. In silence, he carves and waits.
Bragon, how long have you been here?
Not long.
Why did you come?
See you? Are you happy, Kida?
Yes.
Do you love Randall?
I do not know, Bragon. I cannot tell whether I love him or whether it is the world I love so much. Oh, Bragon, I do not know. If I love Randall, then I love you also.
Kida. Do you remember the grass hollow, where the twisted woods descend?
Yes, I remember.
I'll meet you there, tonight.
No, Bragon, you'll meet me there. And you'll bring a knife, for I have one that is sharp and will be sharper by this evening.
Randall, no, Bragon.
He's right. I shall meet him at sunset. One of us will come back to you.
No! Oh, my poor heart. My poor weak heart.
Then a slag scuttling across the quadrangle.
Why, but isn't this a slag?
Oh, what do you want? Startling me like that? And my poor heart as it is.
My dear lady, it's only I, Steerpike.
Steerpike, an elegant sword stick under his arm, and a gold chain about his neck.
Jumping out on me? It's not fair.
I saw you were bound on an errand of some kind, and I wondered if I could assist in any way.
No, thank you, young man. I am taking a message from his lordship to Lady Clarice and Lady Cora.
But it's such a long way to their apartment, and I will be passing their rooms. Couldn't I, as a trusted associate of Dr. Prunesqualler, carry it for you?
Well, yes, I suppose so. But it's very important. You mustn't let me down.
Of course not. Of course not. Your ladyships, I wish to ask you a question.
Their twin heads are thrust forward in anticipation, as though they were peering out of a window.
Who has undisputed control over Gormenghast, but allows the great traditions of the castle to drift, forgetting that even his own sisters are of his blood and lineage, and are entitled to homage, and, shall I say it? Yes, to adulation too. Who is that man?
Gertrude!
Come. Who is it who forgets even his own sisters?
Sepulchrave.
Yes, Lord Sepulchrave. It is a fact that it is your selfish brother who is responsible for the injustice you suffer.
What shall we do?
Tell us.
In all battles, whether of wits or of war, the first thing to do is to take the initiative and to strike hard.
Yes.
But one must choose where to strike. Now tell me, dear ladies, what is your brother's main interest? Is it not literature? Is he not a great lover of books?
He's very clever, but he reads it all in books.
Exactly. Then if he lost all his books, he'd be all but defeated. If the centre of his life were destroyed, he'd be but a shell. As I see it, your ladyships, it is at his library that our first thrust must be directed. Don't you agree?
We agree? Yes, we agree.
Outside, the moon slides inexorably towards its zenith. The roof of the twisted woods reflects the staring circle in a phosphorescent network of branches. Rantel approaches the hollow, his head and body a mosaic of black and ghastly silver. He stands as if sculpted in the moonlight. Then, lifting his eyes, he sees Bragon arise from beyond the rim across the hollow.
Do you mind if I smoke my pipe, your ladyships? Thank you. Now, how are we to dispose of your brother's books?
Burn them!
What could we burn them with?
Fire!
Yes. Yes, that is a possibility.
But we oughtn't to burn down Sepulchre's library,
Lady Cora, sometimes one has to do things which are unpalatable, especially since a new scandal has come to my ears.
What? What is it?
The fact that you're not being asked to the great gathering which your brother is calling. Everyone of importance is going. Even the prune squallers are going.
What?
Everyone, that is, except yourselves. Does that not anger you?
Yes! Yes.
Shall we then take steps towards justice? Yes or no, ladies? Yes or no?
Yes! Burn, 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 burn.
Keda's lovers descend together, and stripping themselves naked, they turn to face one another, easing their fingers around the bone hilts of their blades, which dance in the moonlight like splinters of glass.
Sit down! Both of you, sit down!
Oh.
In 6 days' time, your ladyships, on the evening before the great gathering to which you've not been invited, the library will be empty, and you may burn it to the ground.
Then we'll have power. Won't we?
Yes. Then you'll have power, your ladyships.
Rantel and Bragon are fighting, their bodies raddled with blood. They are sculpting. Each is carving a marvel in inky shadow and silver light. Suddenly, Keda is standing on the brow of the slope. Bragon sees her. With a flash of strength, he whirls Rantel's daggered hand away and plunges his knife into the shadowy breast. His foe sinks to the ground.
Bragon, I love you more than all things.
He does not turn to Keda. He stands motionless, while Rantel, raising himself upon his arm, gropes for his dagger and, summoning the last of his strength, sends it running through the air. Bragon, the bone hilt at his gullet, falls lifeless across the body of his destroyer.
Can I depend on those stupid geese? They're the linchpin of the whole manoeuvre.
Steerpike leaves the deserted library at 4 in the morning.
Everything else is in readiness. 160 yards of oil-drenched cloth hidden behind the books. A hole bored in an unused door, taking the ends of the cloth outside the building to where they can be ignited by Lady Cora and Lady Clarice. They will think the library's empty. I will have locked the only door that is used, and, with the exception of the twins, the entire house of Groan will be inside. I will appear like an answer to a prayer. As long as those stupid women start the fire.
With doomful inevitability comes the evening of the gathering, the evening of the burning.
We are gathered together in this ancient library at the instigation of Sepulchre, 76th Earl to the House of Gormenghast.
Sourdust, fingering a running bowline in his beard.
Now I will turn my back on you and strike the table 4 times. Then Slag will bring the child to the table, and Lord Sepulchrave will graciously advance, following his menial, and on arriving at a point immediately behind me, will touch the back of my neck with the forefinger of his left hand. At this signal, I and Slag will retire. Slag.
What's the matter?
Matter, as far as I can bear to judge at this very, very short notice, your ladyship. It is a case of thickening atmosphere.
It's smoke! Haven't you ever smelt smoke before?
Many and many a time, your ladyship. But never, if I may say so, never in here.
There never is smoke in here. Play! Lordship! Open the door!
Yes, Lordship.
Lord Sepulchrave will then pass behind the table
My very dear good Mrs. Slag, please convey his minute lordship to the door that for some reason that is too subtle for me to appreciate remains shut.
The door has been locked from the outside.
Oh, no!
Like the tongue of an adder, suddenly licking the gilded and studded spines of the books, their titles momentarily shining out in ephemeral glory.
There is, my dove, seldom smoke without it.
A face at the window, a face none of them expects to see.
Hold your horses! Don't panic! Don't panic!
This is indeed remarkably fortuitous, dear boy, remarkably so.
Don't stand so near! I'm going to crack some more glass out!
Stand back.
I'm glad I found you! I tried the door, it seems to be locked! But I've thought of something! What? Thought of what? A ladder! I'm going to let down a ladder!
A ladder, did he say? Where did he find a ladder?
It's not a real ladder, I'm afraid. There have been some small trees felled, and I've managed to find a couple with enough stumps and branches on them to serve as steps.
He is clever, isn't he, Dr. Prune?
Veritably ingenious, I should say.
Now stand clear. I'm going to try and pass one of the trees through. Look out!
And so the rescue begins. As the flames grip volume after volume with their flickering tentacles, the slow progress up the improvised ladder, through the small window, and down the tree on the outside.
Oh, well done, your ladyship. Oh, careful now. Now, where's his lordship?
Oh, Lordship!
Lordship! There he is.
Standing in an alcove, smoothing the back of a gold-bound book, a sickening smile playing on his lips.
Take them. Take your books, your lordship. Come quickly. Which ones do you want? No. It's all right. I am sorry to have kept you.
Flay.
Yes.
Follow his lordship. Take care of him.
Yes. Follow Lordship.
That's everyone except us.
And Sourdust.
Where's he?
We can do nothing for him. Come.
After you, Doctor.
Very well, dear boy. Very well.
Now.
Turning for an instant, Steerpike, a lurid carving with eyes glittering in the blood-red light like garnets, surveys the Holocaust.
Nice work. Very nice work.
Night falls, and the raw patch of light that was once the library dances in the darkness like a pulsating wound. Inside the book-lined oven, the crimson flames devour the crimson rags, of sour dust. Flesh will soon be gone, with all its wrinkles, the coughing ceased forever. How can ritual be maintained? How will order be preserved?
Are you Barquentine?
Flay, standing beneath the mouldering belly of a fly-covered ceiling.
What if I am? He's dead. Whom are you speaking of?
Rapping the mattress with his withered stump and knotting his beard furiously.
Your father. Sour dust. How? Burned in the library yesterday. Only bones left. Details.
Foraging in the darkness for his crutch and struggling onto his withered leg.
I will take you to his lordship. You know your duties? Of course I know my duties, you bladderhead. What do you think I've been studying these last 54 years?
Barquentine, the new lord of ritual, appearing like a well-versed actor on the mouldering stage. The slow drama of Gormenghast continues among the shadows. In the south wing, the twins are getting restless.
He promised us power. He promised. That's why we did it. He made us do it. He made us burn dear Sepulchre's books. Dear Sepulchre's books.
How many shelves have you built for your father?
Sepulchre, sitting with his back to a pine tree, his knees drawn up to his chin, a slithery smile upon his mouth.
7 shelves, Father.
Fuchsia, her hands trembling, her wide eyes looking down at 7 lines scored across the needled ground.
That's it, that's it. Now we have space for the Sonian poets. Have you the books ready, little daughter?
Yes, Father.
Turning to a heap of fir cones she has gathered. The silence of the high pines drugs the air. Sepulchre places a fir cone at the end of one of the lines.
Fuchsia.
Yes?
Do I know you, Fuchsia? Do I know you?
I suppose we don't know each other very much, Father.
Ah!
What is it? Oh, Father, what is it?
I am not your father.
His black eyes widening.
I live in the Tower of Flint.
His fingers curling.
I am the death. Ow!
A kestrel hangs in the sky. Kida, her mind in a fever, walks among the mud dwellings.
Your life is over. Your lovers are dead. Only Ranthel's child to be born, and then you will know what to do.
Sepulchre, sitting huddled upon the broad carven mantelpiece in his apartments.
Your lordship?
Swelter, oozing in a uniform of virgin silk.
Chef, how many mice have you trapped in the kitchen today? Answer me.
All the traps were full of mice, your lordship.
Then bring me one. Bring me a plump one, immediately.
Silent with incredulity, Swelter insinuates his white mass from the room.
Mr. Flay!
Lordship!
Some twigs, at once. Twigs of all sizes, do you understand?
Flay looks up at his master. He can recognize no expression. The mouth might as well not be there. The fine aquiline nose appears more forceful, and the saucer-like shape of the eyes hold within either sky a vacant moon.
Hold him, Steerpike. Yes, Doctor.
The The doctor flicks a slim needle into his lordship's wrist.
I can't keep pumping hydrophon doramischromatica of ash into him every 5 hours or so. Soon he'll need it even more frequently than that.
The fingers uncurl. The claws are gone.
That was quick work, Doctor. What happens next?
His lordship must continue with his duties. Order in all things, eh? Yes, indeed. Fetch me Flay. We must get his lordship dressed. Quickly now, quickly.
The cat room, carpeted with blue sky, clouded with white purring fur.
And how's Flay?
What do you want?
The Earl wants you.
Then, suddenly forcing his eyes open with the forefinger and thumb of either hand. This is a mistake. One of Steerpike's rare mistakes.
How dare you!
Filled with wrath at this insult to his master, Flay plucks a cat by its head from the snowy hill upon a divan and hurls it at his tormentor.
How dare you!
The living missile reaches out one of its white legs and rips a crimson wedge from Steerpike's cheek immediately below the right eye. Cats swarm the walls and furniture, leaping and circling in a white maelstrom.
Fool!
Gertrude, moving through the blizzard of cats to Flay.
Crude fool!
Ladyship!
I have finished with you, Flay. The stones have finished with you. You are banished, exiled. Your long bones sicken me. You have 1 week to leave Gormenghast.
In the great hall, with its sky of writhing cherubs, the threatened ritual staggers on. Lord Sepulchrave and his family sit silently at breakfast. His thoughts are as fragmentary as the flaking ceiling.
Soft plumes deaden all my thoughts in a shroud of numberless feathers. My throat is growing taut and round. They have been there so long in the cold, hollow throat of the tower, and they will be there forever, for there can be no ending to the owls whose child I am. My remorse is over now and forever, for desire and dreams have gone, and I am complete, and longing for the talons of the tower, and suddenness and clangour among the plumes, and an end, and a death, and sweet oblivion. My fuchsia, dusky daughter, bring me branches and a field mouse from an acre of grey pastures.
His mouth, it's slipping.
It's coming on again.
Gormenghast lies inert. Its masonry sweats. It is horribly silent. There is a sickness in the atmosphere.
I want my power. You promised me. I want mine now. So do I.
I thought I had explained it to you. Do you want your glory ruined by makeshift arrangements? Do you want to be the laughing stock of the castle all over again because you're too impatient?
No.
Midnight. Of a sudden, the cumulus heavens are rent asunder. Within the castle, a gibbous dome of white, carrying a shimmering cleaver, slides towards the 9th stairs.
I'll make you red and wet, my pretty thing. Oh, so red and wet. You know what people say, don't you now? Of course you do. You're such a quick, sharp baby. Such a sharp baby.
Swelter continues his porridge-like paces along the corridor, towards the door of Sepulchrave's room, where he supposes his enemy lies asleep. A few feet from the door he stops and prods slowly forward with the cleaver until it touches the panels of the door. He takes a soft pace backwards, then raises the double-handed cleaver and brings it down like a guillotine.
What's happened, my pretty? What's happened? No, my life! No, flee!
Wiping his hands across his thighs, he wrenches the cleaver from the floorboards. Then, turning, Swelter sees the prey standing behind him with a drawn sword in his hand.
Flee! Swelter!
The sword flashes in the razor light of electric fire coursing across the heavens. Sepulchrave, moving silently, like a symbol of sorrow.
Mr. Flay.
Lordship.
Do you think they will enjoy it? We can but proffer the body. That is the least we can do.
Proffer to whom, Lordship?
To the owls, of course.
The rain has ceased. Moonlight, like a hoarfrost, is on the tower of flints. Upon the ground are scattered a few fir cones, like ivory carvings. What was once Swelter glistens.
This is my hour, Mr. Flay. You must go from here. You must go away. This is the hour of my reincarnation. I must be alone with him. That you killed him is your glory. That I can take him to them is mine.
Lordship.
Goodbye. My life is beginning. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
He is gone, dragging the glistening thing into the time-eaten opening at the base of the tower. Heedless of this fearful tragedy, the sun pursues its ample, spellbound cycle and turns eventually towards another dusk. A minute figure moves in silhouette towards the barbed edge of a high crag.
I am not afraid.
Kida, through whom, in microcosm, the wide earth sobs.
My child is born, the child of clay, like alabaster, the earthless daughter.
Exalted and magnificently alone, in the rose-red haze of the upper air. The moon climbs suddenly over the eastern skyline. She moves her hair from her eyes and cheekbones.
I am ready.
And she steps outwards from the crag into the dim atmosphere, and falling is most fabulously lit by moon and sun.
Come here, you.
In the room of documents, Barquentine, all wrinkled flesh, withered limbs, and wretched rags.
Come here, you bastard!
bastard whelp of a whorehatch.
You required something, sir?
What are these books, boy?
Belabouring a pile of dusty volumes with his crutch.
They are the law.
By the blind powers, it's the truth. And what is the law? Answer me, curse you.
Destiny, sir. Destiny.
Ferret, your answer's good. Body of me, destiny it is. What is your bastard name, child?
Steerpike, sir.
Age?
17.
Bloody wrinkles. Well, see here, Steerpike, there is work to do. The Lord Titus must be proclaimed the rightful Earl of Gormenghast. The earling has to be arranged. Who's your master?
I have no immediate master, sir. I attempt to make myself useful, here and there.
Oh, you do you, my sprig? Well, you're a neat little rat, but there'll be no more here and there for you. It'll be only here. You understand?
Grinding his crutch into the floor.
Here beside me. You may be useful. Very useful.
Scratching himself through a tear at the armpit.
Are you ready?
I have never been more so.
By Gormenghast Lake, little gusts of fresh white air blow fitfully through the high trees, dense with sterile heat. A gathering of assorted characters.
Just 4 days, my naughty mite. Oh, yes, the tiniest thing in the world to be an earl in just 4 days' time. Then they'll take you away from me.
I'll be with you, Nanny.
Are you enjoying the delicious breeze, Lady Clarice? I said, are you enjoying the delicious breeze, Lady Cora? Of course, irrefutably, and more so. I have no doubt whatever.
You will reply, or shall we ignore her?
Ignore her, of course. She's not a lady.
Not like us.
Not well manured. You don't mean manured, Lady Clarice. You mean mannered.
Oh, dare you? How dare you speak in that way?
How dare you correct me?
You will be punished.
Leave her alone. Leave her alone. How will we do it, Cora? What will be the punishment?
My very dear ladies.
Will it be like our brothers?
I don't know. But we mustn't burn her, must we?
Why? Lady Clarice, Lady Cora.
Steerpike, my ambitious young gelding, I do declare you get everywhere, positively everywhere.
My ladyships, I must speak with you urgently. Shall we walk?
Yes.
Yes.
You will excuse us for a moment?
Of course, dear boy. Of course.
Bray, Alfred. I said don't bray.
They're all against me.
It's all right, Nanny.
We mustn't burn her.
What did they mean, Dr. Prune?
I do not know, Gypsy, but I begin to find in our enigmatic young friend Steerpike less and less amusement, and more sense of...
Sense of what, Doctor?
Evil, do I mean?
Nonsense, Alfred. I said nonsense.
Now listen to me. Stand still and listen to me. Never again are you to speak of burning, or of fire, or of Steerpike, or I will cease to be your protector, and you will be undone and thrown down. Do you understand?
Yes, 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 yes.
All this is observed as a minute, silent puppet show from an ivy-cluttered, thorn-pricked window high in the towering bulk of the castle.
Wrong. Things are going wrong.
Gertrude in her feathered room of birds.
There's evil afoot. I know it. Within 4 days, the Earling, and then I'll take him babe and boy. Titus the 77th. In Titus it's all centred. Stone and mountain, the blood and the observance. Let them touch him. For every hair that's hurt, I'll stop a heart. God, shrive it when I find the evil thing.
The day of the Earling. a day of monotonous, sullen, grey rain, melancholy and perpetual. All are gathered around the lakeside, denizens of castle and outer dwellings, and a little apart stands a woman with a face that is young and old, holding in her arms an infant with flesh like alabaster.
Hear now the age-old injunctions of the law.
Another child, the baby Titus, laved by rain, alone upon a raft of chestnut boughs upon the bosom of the swelling lake. In his right hand a stone, in his left hand an ivy branch, around his neck a necklace of snail shells.
You will forever hold in sacred trust the castle of your fathers. In letter and in spirit you will honour its sacred rights and defend it in every way against the incursions of alien worlds. In the sight of all, I, Warden of the Immemorial Rights, proclaim you to be Titus the 77th Lord of Gormenghast.
The sky blossoms azure, and Titus, crawling to the raft's edge, drops the sacrosanct symbols, stone and ivy branch, into the depths of the lake.
Body of mine, it's blasphemy.
Tearing the necklace of snail shells from his neck and swinging it across the sparkling water.
Blasphemy!
In the arms of the woman by the shore, the strange child, Titus' foster sister, lambent with ghost light, answers his cry. A rainbow curves over Gormenghast. Somewhere a shadow shifts, a shadow of something unhallowed, menacing and ruthless. In a basket borne upon a dappled mare, Titus enters the castle's shadow, his hair black with the morning's rain, his violet eyes lifted towards the silent walls. The darkness engulfs him. All that is Gormenghast revolves once more. But soon there will be a flame-green daybreak, soon, and love itself will cry for insurrection. For tomorrow is also a day, and Titus has entered his stronghold.
Titus Groan, the first of two plays based on the Gormenghast novels of Mervyn Peake, was dramatised for radio by Brian Sibley. Steerpike was played by Sting, Dr. Prunesqualler, Bernard Hepton, Irma Prunesqualler, Judy Parfitt, Sepulcrave, David Warner, Gertrude, Eleanor Bronn, Clarice and Cora, Sheila Hancock, Fuchsia, Jill Lidston, Flay, Cyril Shaps, Sourdust, Robert Edison, Barquentine, Morris Denham, Swelter, Stratford Johns, Nanny Slag, Hilda Schroeder, Kida, Melinda Walker, Rantel, Graham Blockey, and Bragon, Peter Aker. The artist was Freddie Jones. Technical presentation was by Lloyd Silverthorne, assisted by Colin Duff and Peter Marsh. Titus Groan was directed by Glyn Dearman.